The perfect deception. A daughter's worry. Sofia Martinez stood in front of the mirror in her childhood bedroom, smoothing down the pale pink bridesmaid dress she never wanted to wear. The fabric felt heavy against her skin, like a weight pressing down on her chest. Outside the window, the San Antonio sunrise painted the sky in shades of orange and gold, but Sofia couldn't appreciate its beauty. Today was supposed to be a happy day. Today, her father was getting married. But Sofia knew something was terribly wrong. She looked at her reflection and saw worry lines creasing her forehead. At 23 years old, she shouldn't look this stressed. Her dark hair was pulled back in an elegant bun, and her makeup was perfect, but her brown eyes told a different story. They showed fear, frustration, and a desperate need to protect the person she loved most in the world. Her father, Ricardo Martinez. Sofia picked up her phone and scrolled through the photos she had collected over the past few weeks. Evidence. Proof. A digital trail that painted a very different picture of the woman her father was about to marry. But would he listen? Would anyone believe her? A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Mija, are you ready? Her Aunt Carmen peeked through the door, smiling warmly. The car will be here in 20 minutes. Sofia forced a smile. Almost ready, Tia. Just a few more minutes. As the door closed, Sofia's smile faded. She looked back at her phone, at the evidence she had gathered, and made a decision. Today, one way or another, the truth would come out. 6 months earlier, when everything changed. The story began on a warm October evening at Casa Martinez, the restaurant that had been Ricardo's dream for 20 years. The place was packed, as it always was on Friday nights. The smell of fresh tortillas, sizzling carne asada, and homemade mole filled the air. Mariachi music played softly in the background, and the sound of laughter and conversation created a warm, welcoming atmosphere. Ricardo Martinez moved through his restaurant like an artist in his gallery. At 48 years old, he was a man who had built something beautiful from nothing. After his wife Maria died 5 years ago from cancer, the restaurant had become his life, his purpose, his way of keeping her memory alive. Sofia worked beside him that evening, home for the weekend from the Culinary Institute where she was studying. She loved watching her father work. His hands moved with confidence as he prepared each dish, and his smile was genuine when customers complimented his food. That night, a woman walked in who would change everything. Diana Castellanos was stunning. Tall and elegant, with honey blonde hair that fell in perfect waves past her shoulders, she wore a red dress that turned heads as she entered. Her green eyes sparkled with intelligence, and when she smiled, it was like the sun breaking through clouds. She sat at the bar, alone, and ordered the mole poblano. Ricardo, as he often did, came out to check on his guests. When he reached Diana's table, Sofia noticed the way his eyes lit up. It was the first time since her mother's death that she had seen that particular spark. "How is everything?" Ricardo asked, his voice warm and professional. Diana looked up at him, and her smile widened. "Incredible. This is the best mole I've ever tasted. Did you make this yourself?" Ricardo blushed slightly, something Sofia rarely saw. "Yes, it's my mother's recipe. Passed down through 3 generations." "You can taste the love in every bite," Diana said, and something in the way she said it made Sofia's stomach tighten. Over the next hour, Ricardo found reasons to return to Diana's table. They talked about food, about San Antonio, about life. Sofia watched. From the kitchen, her protective instincts already stirring. There was something about the way Diana looked at her father, something calculated behind that warm smile. When Diana finally left, she pressed a business card into Ricardo's hand. "If you ever want to talk more about food, or anything else, call me." Ricardo held that card like it was made of gold. The whirlwind romance. The courtship happened fast. Too fast, in Sofia's opinion. Within 2 weeks, Ricardo and Diana were dating. Within a month, Diana had practically moved into Ricardo's home. Within 3 months, Ricardo proposed. Diana was perfect. Almost too perfect. She was a freelance consultant, she said, working with various businesses on their marketing strategies. She traveled frequently for work, but always made time for Ricardo. She loved his cooking. She laughed at his jokes. She asked Sophia thoughtful questions about her studies and seemed genuinely interested in her life. But Sophia noticed things. She noticed how Diana's eyes would sometimes go cold when she thought no one was looking. She noticed how Diana always steered conversations away from her past, her family, her life before San Antonio. She noticed how Diana's phone was always face down on the table, and how she would leave the room to take certain calls. One evening, Sophia tried to learn more about Diana's background. "So, Diana, where did you grow up?" Sophia asked during dinner at Casa Martinez. Diana smiled smoothly. "Oh, a little bit of everywhere. My father was in the military, so we moved around constantly. Texas, California, Georgia. I never really had roots anywhere until now." "Do you have any siblings?" "No, I was an only child. My parents passed away several years ago. Car accident." Diana's voice carried just the right amount of sadness. "I'm so sorry," Ricardo said immediately, reaching for her hand. "It's okay," Diana said softly. "It taught me to appreciate the family you choose, not just the family you're born into." The words were perfect. The delivery was flawless. But something in Sophia's gut screamed that it was all a lie. The first real warning. The first concrete evidence that something was wrong came in December, about 2 months after Diana entered their lives. Sophia had come home from school for Christmas break. One evening, Ricardo had to make an emergency trip to the restaurant because of a problem with the freezer. Diana said she had a headache and stayed home. Sophia stayed too, working on a research paper in her room. Around 10 o'clock, Sophia went downstairs to get some water. As she passed the guest room that Diana had been using as an office, she heard Diana's voice. The door was slightly open, and Diana was speaking in a tone Sophia had never heard before. Cold. Hard. Businesslike. "No, Marcus, I told you we need to wait at least 6 months, Diana hissed into her phone. "If we move too fast, people will ask questions. The life insurance policy needs to be in place first, and I need to be in the will." Sophia froze outside the door. "I don't care if you're impatient," Diana continued. "This one is worth millions. The restaurant alone is valued at over $2 million, and that's not counting his personal assets. We do this right, or we don't do it at all." Sophia's blood ran cold. "Yes, I've already convinced him to update his will. The lawyer appointment is next week. Once that's done, and the insurance is active, we move to phase 2. Diana paused. An accident. Something believable. Maybe while he's at the restaurant late at night. A robbery gone wrong, perhaps. Sophia's hand flew to her mouth to stop herself from gasping. "Fine, we'll talk tomorrow. I need to go before someone hears me." Diana ended the call. Sophia raced back to her room, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst from her chest. She had just heard Diana planning her father's murder. This wasn't paranoia or jealousy. This was real. She had to tell her father. She had to stop this. Nobody believes. The next morning, Sophia tried to tell Ricardo what she had heard. They were in the kitchen, and Diana had gone out for her morning run. It was the perfect moment. "Dad, I need to talk to you about something serious," Sophia began, her voice shaking. Ricardo looked up from his coffee, concern crossing his face. "What is it, Mija? You look upset." "It's about Diana. Last night, I heard her on the phone. Dad, she was talking to someone named Marcus about stealing your money. She mentioned your will, life insurance, and she was planning." Sophia's voice broke. "Dad, she was planning to hurt you." The color drained from Ricardo's face, but not from fear. from anger. "Sophia, that's enough," he said sharply. "But Dad, I heard her. I said enough." Ricardo's voice was louder than Sophia had ever heard it. He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. "Sophia, I know this is hard for you. I know you miss your mother. I miss her too, every single day. But Diana is not trying to replace her. Diana loves me, and she loves you. Dad, please, just listen." "No, you listen," Ricardo said firmly. "I understand that you're protective of me. But what you're suggesting is insane. Diana is a good woman. She makes me happy. For the first time in 5 years, I feel alive again. And I won't let anyone, not even you, ruin that." Tears streamed down Sophia's face. "Dad, I'm telling you the truth. I heard her. What you heard was probably a conversation about one of her clients. You took it out of context because you don't want me to move on." Ricardo's voice softened slightly. "Sophia, I love you. But I love Diana too. We're getting married in March, and I hope you can find it in your heart to be happy for me." He left the kitchen, leaving Sophia standing there alone, tears falling onto the tile floor. The investigation begins. If her father wouldn't listen, Sophia would have to prove it herself. Over the next few weeks, Sophia became a detective. She started following Diana when she could, documenting her movements. She searched online for any information about Diana Castellanos and came up empty. No social media presence before 6 months ago. No professional history. No digital footprint at all. That was the first major red flag. In today's world, everyone had a digital history. Unless they were hiding something. Sophia created a fake social media account and started searching for anyone named Marcus who might be connected to Diana. She found dozens, but one caught her attention. Marcus Chen, a man who appeared in the background of several photos from luxury hotels and resorts, always with different women. Sophia dug deeper. She found articles about investment scams, about wealthy men who had died under suspicious circumstances, about a string of cons that stretched across 3 states. The women in these articles had different names and sometimes different appearances, but Sophia recognized the eyes. Those cold, calculating green eyes. Diana Castellanos was not her real name. Her real name was Elena Rossi, and she was a professional con artist. Sophia printed everything she found. Bank statements that didn't add up. Photos that proved Diana's lies. Articles about Elena Rossi's previous victims. She built a case that would convince anyone. Anyone except her father. The final attempt. 1 week before the wedding, Sophia tried one last time. She brought all her evidence to the restaurant during a quiet afternoon. Ricardo was in his office, going over invoices. Sophia knocked and entered, carrying a folder thick with papers. "Dad, I need you to look at something," she said. Ricardo sighed. "Sophia, if this is about Diana again. Just look. Please." Sophia placed the folder on his desk. "Diana isn't who she says she is. Her real name is Elena Rossi. She's a con artist. She's done this before, to other men. I have proof." Ricardo opened the folder reluctantly. He looked at the first few pages, his expression hardening with each one. "Where did you get this?" he asked quietly. "I've been investigating." "Dad, look at the dates. Look at the pattern. Every man she's been with has either lost everything or died mysteriously. This isn't about me not wanting you to be happy. This is about keeping you alive." Ricardo closed the folder and pushed it back toward Sophia. "These are just coincidences and internet rumors. You can't believe everything you read online. Dad, please. Sophia, I want you to stop this. Now." Ricardo's voice was ice. "Diana has made me happier than I've been in years. If you can't accept that, then maybe you shouldn't come to the wedding." The words hit Sophia like a physical blow. You don't mean that. I do. I love you, Mija, but I won't let you destroy the best thing that's happened to me since your mother died. Diana is going to be my wife. You need to accept that or stay away. Sophia gathered her papers with shaking hands. As she reached the door, she turned back. When this all falls apart, when you finally see the truth, I'll still be here. But I hope it won't be too late. She left before he could respond, before he could see her break down completely. The plan forms. With 1 week until the wedding and her father refusing to listen, Sophia knew she had only one option left. She would have to expose Diana publicly, in front of everyone, in a way that couldn't be ignored or dismissed. The wedding would be her stage. Sophia contacted Detective James Rodriguez, a young investigator with the San Antonio Police Department who had worked on fraud cases. She sent him everything she had found. At first, he was skeptical, but as he looked through her evidence, his attitude changed. "This is serious," he told Sophia during a phone call. "If even half of this is true, your father is in real danger. But I need more time to build an official case. The wedding is in 6 days. I can't get a warrant that fast." "Then I'll handle it at the wedding," Sophia said. "Can you be there? As backup?" "I'll be there. I'll be there," Detective Rodriguez promised. "But Sophia, be careful. If this woman is as dangerous as you think, confronting her could put you at risk too." "I don't care about the risk," Sophia said. "I care about saving my father." Over the next few days, Sophia prepared. She created a presentation on her laptop, a slideshow of evidence that would play on the church's projection screen during the ceremony. She contacted some of Elena Rossi's previous victims, people who had lost money or loved ones to her schemes. 3 of them agreed to come to San Antonio and testify if needed. Everything was set. The truth would come out, no matter what it cost. The wedding morning. Which brought Sophia back to this moment, standing in her childhood bedroom in her bridesmaid dress, staring at her reflection. Her phone buzzed. A text from Detective Rodriguez: "I'm in position outside the church. 3 backup units ready. We have a warrant for Elena Rossi based on the evidence you provided. The moment you give the signal, we move in. Be safe." Sophia texted back, "Thank you. This ends today." Another knock at the door. This time, it was her father. Ricardo looked handsome in his black tuxedo, but his eyes were sad. He stepped into the room and closed the door behind him. "Sophia, I know we haven't been talking much this past week," he began. "But you're my daughter. You're the most important person in my life. I need you at this wedding. I need you to support me, even if you don't understand my choice." Sophia looked at her father, this man who had raised her alone after her mother died, who had taught her to cook, who had supported every dream she ever had. She loved him more than anything in the world. "Dad, I'll be there," she said quietly. "I promise you, I'll be there." Ricardo smiled, relief flooding his face. He hugged her tightly. "Thank you, Mija. That means everything to me." As he left, Sophia whispered to herself, "I'll be there to save you, even if you hate me for it." She picked up her phone, grabbed the USB drive containing her presentation, and headed downstairs. The car was waiting. The church was ready. Diana was probably already there, preparing to play her final role as the beautiful, loving bride. But today, the performance would end. Today, the mask would come off. Today, Sophia would expose the truth, no matter the cost. As the car drove through San Antonio streets towards St. Anthony's Cathedral, Sophia looked out the window and thought of her mother. Maria Martinez had always told her to stand up for what was right, even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. "I hope I'm making you proud, Mama," Sophia whispered. The cathedral came into view, its white stone walls glowing in the morning sun. Cars filled the parking lot. Guests in their best clothes walked toward the entrance. Somewhere inside, Diana was preparing to walk down the aisle. Sophia took a deep breath, clutched her USB drive, and stepped out of the car. The final act was about to begin. Part 2, Unraveling the Web. The calm before the storm. St. Anthony's Cathedral was magnificent. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, casting rainbow patterns across the white marble floors. The pews were filled with over 200 guests, friends, and family from all corners of Ricardo's life. The air smelled of roses and lilies, hundreds of them arranged in elegant displays throughout the church. Sophia stood in the bride's preparation room, watching Diana through the mirror. The woman was absolutely radiant in her white wedding gown. The dress was custom-made, probably costing more than most people earned in a year. Diana's blonde hair was styled in an intricate updo, with small white flowers woven throughout. Her makeup was flawless. She looked like every bride's dream. She looked like an angel. But Sophia knew better. Angels didn't plan murders. Angels didn't destroy lives for money. "Sophia, darling, could you help me with this clasp?" Diana's voice was honey sweet, the same voice she always used around other people. Sophia moved forward and helped fasten the delicate necklace around Diana's throat. Her hand shook slightly, and she hoped Diana wouldn't notice. "Are you nervous?" Diana asked, catching Sophia's eye in the mirror. For just a moment, something cold flickered in those green eyes. A warning, perhaps. Or a threat. Just emotional, Sophia lied. "Big day." "Yes, it is." Diana smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Your father is a wonderful man. I'm very lucky to have found him." The way she said found made Sophia's skin crawl. Like Ricardo was a target that had been hunted and captured. A knock at the door interrupted them. Carmen peeked in. "It's time, ladies." "Diana, the ceremony starts in 5 minutes." Diana stood, smoothing down her dress. She looked at Sophia one more time. "I hope we can be friends, Sophia. I know you've had doubts about me, but I really do love your father. After today, we'll be family." "Over my dead body," Sophia thought. Out loud, she said, "We'll see." The ceremony begins. The church organ began to play, the traditional wedding march filling the cathedral with rich, solemn notes. Guests rose to their feet, turning to watch the entrance. Sophia walked down the aisle first, as the maid of honor. She scanned the crowd as she went, spotting Detective Rodriguez sitting in the back row, dressed in a suit like any other guest. He gave her a slight nod. The backup was in place. At the altar, Ricardo stood waiting. He looked happy, genuinely happy, and that made what Sophia was about to do even harder. She took her position and watched as the bride appeared at the entrance. Diana walked down the aisle alone, having claimed she had no family. The guests gasped at how beautiful she looked. Camera phones appeared, capturing the moment. Diana moved with grace and confidence, every step measured and perfect. When she reached Ricardo, she handed her bouquet to Sophia. Their fingers touched briefly, and Diana squeezed hard enough to hurt. A final warning. Father Thomas, a kindly priest who had known Ricardo for 20 years, began the ceremony. His voice was warm and welcoming as he spoke about love, commitment, and the sacred bond of marriage. Sophia barely heard the words. Her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. She had her USB drive hidden in a small pocket of her dress. The church had a computer system connected to a projection screen, usually used for displaying lyrics during services. Sophia had volunteered to set up a special wedding slideshow as a surprise. The church staff had given her access to the system earlier that morning. Everything was ready. She just had to wait for the right moment. Father Thomas continued, leading Ricardo and Diana through the traditional vows. Ricardo's voice was strong and clear as he promised to love, honor, and cherish. Diana's voice was soft and emotional, the perfect performance of a loving bride. Then came the moment Sophia had been waiting for. If anyone here present knows of any reason why this couple should not be joined in holy matrimony, "Speak now or forever hold your peace," Father Thomas intoned, as tradition demanded. This was usually just a formality. No one ever actually spoke up. The church fell silent, guests waiting for the priest to continue. Sophia took a deep breath. "I do," she said, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife. "I have a reason." The confrontation. The church exploded into shocked whispers. Guests turned to stare at Sophia with wide eyes. At the altar, Ricardo's face went white, then red with anger. "Sophia, what are you doing?" he hissed, his voice low but furious. Diana's expression was harder to read. Surprise, certainly, but underneath something else. Something dangerous. "I'm sorry, Dad, but I can't let you do this," Sophia said, her voice shaking but determined. She pulled out her USB drive and held it up. "This woman is not who she says she is. Her real name is not Diana Castellanos. It's Elena Rossi, and she's a con artist." "That's enough," Ricardo shouted, but Sophia was already moving toward the church's computer station. Father Thomas looked confused and distressed. "My child, this is highly irregular. Please, Father, just give me 2 minutes. 2 minutes to show everyone the truth." Sophia plugged in the USB drive. The projection screen behind the altar flickered to life. The first image appeared, a driver's license photo of Diana, but with a different name. Elena Rossi. The church fell completely silent. "This is the woman standing at the altar," Sophia continued, her voice growing stronger. "But this isn't her first wedding. It isn't even her 5th. More images appeared on the screen. Diana, or Elena, at different weddings, with different men. Each time she looked slightly different. Different hair color, different style, but always the same cold green eyes. Each of these men either died under suspicious circumstances or lost everything they owned," Sophia said. 3 are dead. 2 are bankrupt. 1 is in a mental hospital, driven there by what she did to him." Diana finally moved. She turned to the screen, her expression still calm, but her hands clenched into fists. "This is absurd. Ricardo, you can't possibly believe this." But Ricardo was staring at the screen, his face a mask of horror and confusion. Sophia clicked to the next slide. Bank records appeared, showing large transfers of money. These are transactions from Diana's accounts. Money that she stole from her previous victims. And here, another click, is a recording of a phone conversation she had 2 weeks ago. Sophia hit play. Diana's voice filled the church, crystal clear. "No, Marcus, I told you we need to wait at least 6 months. If we move too fast, people will ask questions. The life insurance policy needs to be in place first, and I need to be in the will." The guests erupted into shocked murmurs. Ricardo stumbled backward, as if he'd be physically struck. "That's my office phone," Diana said quickly, her voice sharp now. The sweet act was dropping. "Someone must have hacked it. This is all manufactured evidence." "Then explain this," Sophia said, clicking to another slide. A photo appeared of Diana, Elena, with a tall, dark-haired man. They were kissing, standing in front of what looked like an expensive resort. The photo was dated just 2 weeks ago. "This is Marcus Chin. He's her partner. He's helped her con at least 8 men over the past 6 years." The partner appears. As if summoned by the mention of his name, movement erupted at the back of the church. A man stood up from where he'd been sitting quietly among the guests. Tall, dark-haired, with a scar running down his left cheek. "Marcus Chin. This is ridiculous," he called out, starting to move toward the aisle. "You can't believe this girl's fantasy story. Diana is a good woman who..." "Freeze. Police." Detective Rodriguez was on his feet, his badge held high. 3 more officers appeared from different positions in the church, all with their hands on their weapons. "Marcus Chen, you're under arrest for fraud and conspiracy to commit murder." Marcus's face transformed from confident to panicked in an instant. He turned and ran toward the side exit, but 2 officers were already there, blocking his escape. Within seconds, they had him in handcuffs. At the altar, Diana's mask finally shattered completely. The sweet, loving bride vanished, replaced by something cold and cruel. "You stupid little girl," she spat at Sophia, all pretense gone. "You have no idea what you've done. Your father loves me. He would have given me everything willingly." "You mean you would have killed him and taken everything?" Sophia shot back. Diana laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Killed him? Please. I'm not a murderer. I'm a businesswoman. An accident would have been arranged, yes, but I wouldn't have done it myself." That's what Marcus was for. The casual way she said it made several guests gasp. Ricardo looked like he might be sick. "Why?" he whispered, his voice broken. "Diana, why? I loved you." For just a moment, something almost like regret flickered across Diana's face. Almost. Because love doesn't pay the bills, Ricardo. Love doesn't buy penthouses in Paris or yachts in the Mediterranean. You were kind, and sweet, and you made decent money, but you were never anything more than a mark. A job. "You're under arrest too, Ms. Rossi," Detective Rodriguez said, approaching the altar with handcuffs. "For fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit murder." Diana didn't run. She simply stood there, watching as the detective cuffed her wrists. But her eyes never left Sophia's face. "You think you've won," Diana said quietly, a threat lacing every word. "You think you've saved him. But you've just made an enemy you can't imagine." "I'll take my chances," Sophia replied, trying to sound braver than she felt. As the police led Diana and Marcus out of the church, the guests erupted into chaos. Some people were crying, others were calling friends on their phones to tell them what had happened, still others were rushing to Ricardo's side to offer comfort and support. Sophia stood frozen at the altar, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline that had carried her through the confrontation was draining away, leaving her shaking and empty. Then her father was there, pulling her into a tight embrace. He was crying, his whole body shaking with sobs. "I'm sorry," he kept saying over and over. "I'm so sorry I didn't believe you. I'm so sorry." Sophia hugged him back, her own tears finally falling. "It's okay, Dad. You're safe. That's all that matters." The aftermath. The rest of the day passed in a blur. The police took statements from Sophia, Ricardo, and several guests. Detective Rodriguez explained that they had been building a case against Elena Rossi for months, ever since her last victim's family had filed a complaint.